Hello summoners and welcome to another episode of Pro Counters. My name is Christoph, and in this episode we're going to be covering all the counter picks to assist you in your final push for the next rank. As this is the last patch of the season, we felt obligated to do everything we can to help you guys out. Stay tuned in this video to find counter picks to popular and OP picks across every role. And before we get started, for the question of the day, what do you think could make the game more fun during the off-season? I hope they bring back a winter edition of Summoner's Rift. It always felt really fitting for this season. And while you guys are pushing your hardest to get to your dream division this season, we have a ton of stuff to help you out on ProGuides.com using the description link below. You can go get your Challenger coach right now, who will help give you all the information that you need to start winning immediately. We also have a ton of Challenger gameplay analysis content on every single champion, so make sure to check that out as well. Now, with that being said, let's jump right into the video. Alright, so we're going to start off the top lane, like always, and we're going to start with Tryndamere. Everyone hates playing versus this guy. He randomly crits you once in lane, and the game is suddenly over once you feed first blood. Tryndamere is a solid pick into Kayle, Irelia, and Yasuo. With Kayle receiving some nerfs this patch, Tryndamere should finally be able to find some success against her. In lower elo, he beats out Riven, and pretty hard as well. While more experienced and higher ranked Riven players can play through this matchup, if you're below Platinum, you'll have a pretty good time picking Tryndamere into her because all you have to do is right-click. Comparatively, she'll have to space herself, animation cancel, wait for cooldowns, and all that other stuff Riven players need to think about. In his winning matchups, it's really just a matter of all-inning anytime your opponent tries to farm. Tryndamere is extremely difficult to beat in trades because he has crit built into his kit and can build flat AD early on. This means that his gold spent immediately provides him some extra power and an advantage over his enemies. His built-in sustain also means that anytime trades go well or even, he wins even more because he can heal back some of the damage he took. As the game progresses, it gets harder and harder to stop Tryndamere's side lane pressure. Since he can avoid death with his ultimate, he's free to turret dive his foes when he pulls ahead, leaving them helpless under their turret. Our next top lane pick is going to be Rengar. We've seen a little bit of him at Worlds, and his win rate was pretty impressive last patch as well. Rengar is one of the strongest laners because of his insane damage output, alongside sustain and ability to break out of crowd control. You'll want to pick him into Gangplank, Vladimir, Pantheon, and even Fiora. Scaling champions like Gangplank and Vladimir can't stand toe-to-toe against Rengar's insane early game. You want to continuously trade and apply kill pressure, preventing them from scaling up. Against some lane giants like Fiora and Pantheon, Rengar's W is his best answer. The fact that he can heal back the damage he takes and also purge stuns makes him a great answer to these champions. Even if he gets stunned, he can always use an empowered W to mitigate some damage and zoom out of there. Okay, so when you're picking Rengar, your main focus is snowballing out of control during the lane phase. With a lead, you're able to use your ultimate to pressure your opponents for the rest of the game. Whether you're roaming to another lane to pick up a kill or making a pick in the mid game, the concept is the same. Your goal is to catch out players who are out of position and create numbers advantages so you can work towards objectives. As top lane Rengar, you're also opting towards a bruiser build, so it's even harder to take you out. Make sure to take a look at those top lane builds one more time as we move into the jungle. Okay, so we'll admit that he's kind of an OP pick too, but Karthus' play rate and ban rate aren't that high, so we're happy to give him a spot in this video. Last patch, Karthus held impressive win rates versus Lee Sin, Olaf, Jarvan, Amumu, Elise, and Evelynn. A wide cast, but he's holding his own against a lot of aggressive junglers, and with good reason. Karthus can farm faster than almost every champion mentioned, except maybe Olaf, and his passive makes him a great answer to burst damage. Even if his enemies are successful in taking him out of the picture, they're not out of the mix just yet. They'll have to deal with his dead body, which lingers and attempts to trade back. Any trade is worth it for Karthus because of his insane scaling. Once he hits 6, Karthus provides pressure for all of his laners with his ultimate, especially with so many popular aggressive picks at the moment. Almost every game will have opportunities for Karthus to press R, save a teammate, and pick up a free 300 gold. Our next pick in the jungle is going to be Vi. If you happen to hate playing against Karthus, then here's a counter to him. Aside from Karthus, Vi does well into Elise, Lee Sin, Kayn, Rengar, and Kha'Zix. This is because she's able to take Aftershock and is also pretty tanky as a result of her passive. Vi's tankiness and damage make it difficult for a lot of duelists to beat her, especially in skirmishes bigger than 1v1s. Her tankiness and a decent damage output make her a strong duelist who can win versus many opponents and also stall time for her teammates to join the fray. Another factor that makes Vi a great pick is how simple she is. She has a point-and-click lockdown ultimate, meaning that she'll always be able to do something. As long as she doesn't misclick, at least one carry on the enemy team is constantly at risk of getting run down and thrown onto the floor. Alright, now here's those jungle builds one more time as we move into the mid lane. Our first mid lane pick is going to be Heimerdinger. Oh my god, I hate playing against this guy. His ability to constantly push and poke enemies makes him a nuisance for champions that want to roam. Zed, Ahri, Katarina, and Malzahar all have difficulty because they'll always get perma-pushed in. While Ahri can match Heimer's wave clear, her mana costs are pretty high, so she'll be left with little ability to roam. Although assassins like to apply pressure onto their lane opponents and look for solo kills, it's really difficult to do versus Heimerdinger since they'll be under turret the whole time. If they decide to engage anyway, Heimerdinger can always place an upgraded turret to decimate his opponent. With opponents left unable to roam, Heimerdinger is able to take lane priority and support his jungler during and after the laning phase. If you guys are more interested in the concept of lane priority, we have an amazing course on ProGuides.com with Nightblue who discusses it in great detail. Go check it out. So now when Heimerdinger's team wants to go for neutral objectives, his turrets allow him to shred through them and enable his team to attend to other matters much quicker. In lower elo especially, players won't acknowledge your Baron pressure and you'll be able to sneak one in early on, especially if you have a mountain dragon. Take advantage of this by pushing and using pink wards to sweep out the top jungle. Our second mid lane pick is going to be Sylas, who actually received some buffs this patch. He's a great answer to some pesky nuisances like Twisted Fate, Zoe, and Lissandra. While he has other good matchups, they're all in the red, so we don't advise playing him unless you're comfortable on him. These buffs should, however, make him a good pick into most AP champions, as he'll be able to beat many of them in all-ins. The biggest highlight we want to make is Sylas's matchup versus Twisted Fate. Whenever there's a high-impact ultimate on the enemy team, you'll need to consider picking up Sylas. There are champions like Taric outside of his lane that merit picking him as well. While Twisted Fate provides pressure for his side laners with his global port, Sylas can neutralize this by taking TF's ultimate and following suit. This is kind of the story of Sylas in a lot of cases where he counters OP ultimates by just stealing them and evening the playing field. Alright, now let's check out these mid lane builds one last time as we head down into the bot lane. Our first bot lane pick is going to be Twitch. He's a good answer to Vayne, Xayah, Kai'Sa, and Jinx because of his superior scaling. Especially once he finishes a Blade of the Ruined King, Twitch can pop out of the shadows to punish these champions if they never overextend. It's important to note that Xayah and Kai'Sa received nerfs this patch, so there's more incentive to pick Twitch now. A lot of people might even question whether or not Twitch actually outscales them, but with the nerfs coming through this patch, there should be less uncertainty over it. A lot of players also underestimate Twitch's damage output in the early game, but he shouldn't be taken for granted. His all-in, especially if he manages to max out his potion stacks, can be surprisingly strong. While getting to the late game is always questionable, it's undeniable that Twitch is one of the hardest snowballing marksmen in the game. With his stealth, he can make it difficult for his opponents to find clean engages because they won't know with certainty where he is. His stealth also enables him to roam to either of his solo lanes to try and pick up some cheeky kills early on. As we've mentioned over and over again, Yasuo's Wind Wall makes him a great counter to many marksmen. Pick him against Lucian, Vayne, Caitlyn, Ezreal, or Varus. Your goal in all these matchups is to make it past the first few levels while staying healthy and looking for all-in opportunities with your Wind Wall and a Tornado charged up. We saw G2 pull out bot lane Yasuo against SKT and with great success as they were able to win the final game of the series with it. As long as you're not for funning or inting and actually understand that you need to be patient early on, Yasuo is a great pick when paired with aggressive supports like Gragas or Nautilus. We don't recommend you guys try bot lane Yasuo if this is your first time on Yasuo. We actually recommend you go to ProGuides.com and use a coach who can actually teach you how to play Yasuo before going into any ranked games with him. Make sure that you use your Wind Wall effectively in the later stages of the game as this is crucial. Arguably, this is the strongest single ability in Yasuo's kit because it can render a ranged champion on the enemy team incapable of taking action for a few seconds. One more time for you guys, here are the bot lane builds as we wrap it up with support. Okay, hopefully you guys haven't forgotten that Bard is in the game still. He's actually strong against some of the popular picks right now. He's good against Rakan, he's good against Pyke, he's great against Morgana, and even Thresh. The reason for this is that he outtrades them hard with his empowered auto attacks and insane damage from his Q. Especially against Morgana, Bard is a surprisingly great pick because he's able to break her shield. Morgana's shield is a good response to Bard's ultimate, but not his Q because the stun portion of it occurs when it hits its second target. That means if Morgana shields early on and Bard's Q deals enough damage, he can break the shield and also get the stun. Alongside this, like we mentioned, he just deals a lot of damage early on, allowing him to outtrade many aggressive supports. Aside from his strong laning, you'll want to pick Bard for his map mobility and hard engage with his ultimate. His ultimate provides some of the longest range engage in the game, so if your team needs a go button, look no further than Bard. A small bonus to picking Bard is that he scales well with his chime mechanic. While he likely won't be able to 1v9 hard carry, he can still contribute a sizable amount of damage in late game teamfights, especially if he's attacking carries with his empowered auto attacks. Finally, we're going to mention Morgana even though we just told you how to beat her. You want to pick her versus aggressive supports like Leona, Thresh, and Rakan. It's short and simple. Morgana's Black Shield blocks their crowd control and renders them significantly less impactful throughout the entire game. All of these champions' strengths stem from their ability to hard engage and make game-winning picks. With Morgana's shield, this makes it infinitely harder to accomplish. Aside from this, Morgana is a great siege champion as well as a talented pick maker herself. Getting hit by a Morgana Q usually leads to a gray screen because of how long it lasts. When you're pushing for turrets, the long range on Morgana's Q makes it a great tool to fish for some poke or picks. If opponents want to dive, this is another time where Morgana shines because she can keep one of her teammates safe with her shield and proceed to counter-engage with her ultimate. Divers have an easy time getting in, but Morgana makes it hard to get out since she tethers them and then shackles them onto the floor. To wrap it up, here are the support builds one more time. That concludes this episode of Pro Counters. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want more content like this to help you improve, then check out ProGuides.com, where we've teamed up with the best pro players to create guides designed to take your gameplay to the next level. Also, keep an eye on our YouTube channel, where we're constantly updating it with content like this. If you guys enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.